Welcome to Giant Cocktails, a podcast where two lifelong fans talk about the San Francisco Giants while drinking homemade cocktails. Now, here are your hosts, Ben and Matthew Henry.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another exhilarating episode of Giant Cocktails Midweek Review. I'm your host, Matthew, the all-star anchor Henry, ready to dive into the grand slam of cocktails and baseball with you. And joining me, as always, is the unparalleled maestro of mixology and the sultan of swing analysis, the one and only Ben, the MVP of libations, Henry. Grab your Cracker Jacks and cocktail shakers because it's time to play ball and pour drinks. Batter up, MVP of libations.
I'm a two-sport dude. I am the sultan of swing analysis.
Yes.
Yeah, and the MVP of libations.
ChatGPT just decided that it was going to go even more on you there. You got three different ones. You're also the maestro of mixology.
Right. Well, you know, Matthew, that they've been trained on our show, because they just go out there and they suck up all the transcripts that are out there. So they transcript our podcast and then they train it on our podcast, and they don't ask us for permission. We don't get any compensation for that, but that's how it knows about me. And it knows I'm pretty talented, so I don't mind.
I think there's a flaw, if you ask me.
Shut up.
All right. Anyway, before we get going, tell us what you're drinking.
Well, Matthew, today I am drinking a cocktail that I just wanted to put together quickly, because that's what I try to do on Wednesdays. I just throw something together. It's not a lot of thought. It's just like all of the tools out there in front of me. And then the hard part is coming up with the name. And luckily you named this one today, so I didn't have to do that. And today I am presenting Ben's Stiggy. That's right. Ben's Stiggy. And what is Ben's Stiggy? Well, Ben's Stiggy has 2 ounces of Plantation Stiggins pineapple rum, 1 ounce of banana liqueur, or Banane du Bresil, to be precise. And you top all of that, you put that into a highball glass with ice, and then you top that with lemon lime soda. I used Sprite because I think they've won the lemon lime soda wars. But if I could, I would have used 7-Up. And that's what I'm drinking today, Matthew. Ben's Stiggy.
Folks, I named it that because Ben couldn't think of a name and I was ready to record. So I just called it Ben Stiggy and it stuck. So you're welcome.
Well, yeah. And it also works pretty well.
It does. Yeah.
Because, banana.
That's right. I don't know what you mean by that, but okay.
Well, it's a drink. It's a drink named after my Stiggy. So
anyway, I think it's time to talk about what I'm drinking, Ben.
Oh, right.
So like you, I decided that I wasn't going to get real fancy, so I went back to an old favorite template, the old fashioned. And this time I'm using maple syrup. And I got to be honest, I'm usually not a huge fan of using maple syrup in my cocktails. It's got a very distinct taste, and honestly, I don't even really like it on my pancakes. I'd rather have the pancake syrup than maple syrup on my pancakes. So, that's just me. But I did want to try this old fashioned, and so I'm doing a maple old fashioned. Very simple. It's got 2 ounces of bourbon. It's got about a 1/4 ounce, maybe a little more than a 1/4 ounce of maple syrup. And it's got 2 dashes of Black Walnut Bitters. And I really wanted to try this with the Black Walnut because I thought that would go well. And it does. I like the nuttiness going with the maple syrup. So you garnish, put all that into a mixing glass with ice, give it a good stir for about 30 seconds or until well chilled. Strain it into a rocks glass with a fresh chunk of ice. You add your garnish, maybe a cherry or two and an orange twist. And that's what I'm drinking, the maple old fashioned. All right. Well, Ben, there were no games to talk about this week. There was one game to talk about, and we'll get to that in a second. But what else are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about second half predictions. And to be clear, because Ben was very clear on this last episode, this is like the baseball second half, not the true second half. We've only got 65 games left, folks. And that's way less than half of the season. I vote
that we start saying pre-All-Star break and post-All-Star break.
Okay. All right.
Rather than bastardizing mathematics.
Okay. Post-All-Star break predictions, Ben. That's what we're doing today.
Yes. All right.
And then also, the end of this month is the trade deadline. And we figured we'd maybe dip our toe into that, talk a little bit about that, and then, of course, finish it up with our lightning round. Folks, today is Wednesday, July 17th, as we record this podcast. The Giants are still 47-50, which means, Ben, that they went undefeated this week.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
I mean, sort of.
Well, the ghost of Atlee Hammaker did arrive.
One of them almost took an L.
Yeah, almost.
Almost took an L.
Would have negated the Camilo's win from last year.
Yeah, it would have immediately canceled it out. And the other one did the thing that I felt compelled to say, but then held back. He struck out in his one at bat.
But he had a fancy bat while he was doing it. So.
That's true. I mean, nobody remembers that or cares.
No, nobody cares. And nor do I, to be honest. But I thought I would watch the All-Star game because I never do. I never watch the All-Star game. And
right.
I figured I would watch this one because I knew Logan Webb was going to be pitching and then immediately regretted it after he pitched. And so I actually turned it off and I did not see Elliot Ramos's at bat because I was like, I didn't care. I figured if he did well, I could just go back and watch it on replay. And he didn't. So I didn't actually even watch the strikeout. But you said at the very end of the episode, the post talk after our outro, that there is no such thing as the ghost of Atlee Hammaker because he's still alive, but I beg to differ. Atlee's ghost did rear its head yesterday.
Well, I think because you claimed that he was dead, he therefore used his magical powers to inflict them upon the San Francisco Giants. So I think this is your fault, quite frankly.
Okay.
Although I do wonder, Matthew, did Logan Webb do us all a solid by instantly and immediately negating a Dodger home run?
That's right. Oh, man, I like it. Let's look at it that way. I do like that. Yeah. All right. Well, Ben, I think it's time we talk about second half. The second half, I'm sorry, post All-Star break predictions.
Yes, the post All-Star break predictions. Thank you.
Last week we talked about obviously how they hadn't even come close to what our preseason predictions were on wins, and that we would save our prediction on wins for this episode. And I think I mentioned that I had to go consult my abacus to figure it all out. And folks, I did. Okay, so I want to walk you through my thought process of getting to my prediction of overall wins this year.
Okay, go slow because I want to check your work as we go.
Okay, all right. So their current record, Ben, is 47-50. Which translates into a 485 win percentage.
That's .485. Got it.
0.4. Okay, so, and if they continued at that pace, like if they ended the season at 485, they would be 79-83, and that's actually rounding up. Okay, so 79-83 would be their winning percentage or their record.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that checks out. 79-83. Okay.
Okay. So my original prediction, if you remember, was 89-73, which was a 549 win
I'll never
percentage.
forget it.
Okay, so that's a 549 win percentage. So in the second half, or post All-Star break, if they play at that 549 pace that I originally predicted, they would go 36-29.
No.
Okay,
what? That doesn't make any.
So just stay with me. Stay with me.
Okay. I will take
so
this.
if you add the wins that they have up to now, which is 47, and then the 36 second post All-Star game wins that I'm predicting with the 549 win percentage, they would come up with 83 wins and 79 losses.
Okay.
So that is the ceiling that I think we can expect as far as records.
Whoa. That is the ceiling that you can expect. Because what you did here is you took that same ridiculous optimism from the pre-All-Star break predictions and then applied that same, we'll call it that same number, like we'll call it Matthew's constant, to the rest of the second half, the post All-Star break period. And then for some reason you're just like, okay, and that's that, and then I just add them together. So you didn't learn anything. You're just
So what I'm doing, Ben, is I'm trying to hold on to any sense of excitement about the second half.
Oh, buddy.
So
no, that's not how we do this.
This is how I do it. Okay.
Okay.
Remember,
right.
I'm like one loss away from just walking away from this whole
that's
season.
Fair.
Okay?
That's fair. Yeah.
So I need some hope.
Okay.
I need some hope. And the only way we're going to get even close to a playoff spot is if we go, 7 games over 500 over the last 65 games. And I know that's
9 games
not
over
plausible.
homeostasis.
That's not plausible. I know it's not. But that's all I got, Ben. It's all I got. And yes, I am a fool. I am a fool.
Okay.
There's no way they're winning 83 games with the team that we've seen. The only thing I'm holding on to is that we got, Robbie Ray and Cobb and, Blake Snell 2.0, and that maybe we can get lucky and just ride out that whole starting staff that we expected long ago, and maybe we could squeak in.
Right.
But it's a tall task, I admit.
Right.
But that's my prediction, Ben. 83 wins.
Okay. Wow. That is really interesting. I'm gonna make another suggestion and come up with a different number. Okay. My suggestion is that you use logic and reason.
Okay.
To come
That's
up
a novel
with
concept,
to come up with a statistically probable number, and then feel good about getting that right when the season is over.
I'm a fool. You're a fool. Okay, Giants fans don't root on logic. Come on. Haven't you been a Giants fan your whole life?
That's true.
How long have Giants fans ever used logic?
That's what bandwagon fans do. That's what Yankee and Dodger fans do. Right? Yeah, they're just like, oh, what team is the best? Oh, that's the team? Okay, I'm going to go root for them. Yeah, you're right. So what's a cynical Giants fan to do?
Just pick a gut number, Ben. Just pick a gut number.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. I like this. If they continue at 485, they will finish with a 79-83 record. Matthew, my guess is that the Giants will finish with a 79-83 record, that after 4.5 months of baseball, they have clearly demonstrated that the team that they are from top to bottom, completely with all of their massively huge pitching depth, and therefore will finish 79-83. And I will get joy 2 ways: out of being right and out of being wrong.
79-83 though. Wait, 79-83. That number sounds familiar. Why does that number sound familiar? 79-83.
Because
it's the same. It's the same record that they finished last year. That's why that sounds familiar. 79-83 is what they finished last year. I'm having this revelation, Ben. I'm having this is 2023 2.0. This is the same team, just wearing different uniforms. Yeah,
they did different branding. They changed the box. They took some new photographs. They didn't even take new photographs, but they
used the same slogan. There's nothing like it, and it's the same thing.
Yeah. They put in some AI art and tried to trick us into thinking it's something new. And actually, if you think about it, that's the funniest number that it could be. All of these changes, you get rid of Kapler, you stop doing all of the, the platoons, you sign all the free agents, you give everybody what they clamor for, and yet they come back next year and it's exactly the same. And if that isn't funny, then I don't know what is.
Yeah,
that'll give me great
funny.
joy. And it'll give me great joy if they make the playoffs. So there you go. It's a win-win situation for Ben. And that's why you should be a cynic, kids. That's why.
All right, well, this seems like a weird prediction or projection to ask, but do you think they make the playoffs?
No, I'm sorry, folks. These Giants are not making the playoffs.
I'm reminded of the old Jim Mora clip. Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs? And yeah. We can't be talking about playoffs right now. We're 4 games under 500 or 3 games under 500. There's no way we should be talking. We're closer to the bottom of the heap than we are to a playoff spot. And I don't think that that's something we should be talking about at this point. What other prediction I think we need to kind of talk about? Because I think this one's also, it seems easy, but I don't know if it is. What does the rotation look like going forward? Or let's pick a date. Let's say August 15th.
Okay.
What is, at that point, what are the next 5 starting pitchers in mid-August?
Okay, here we go. You want me to go first?
I do, yes.
Okay. Logan Webb.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Harrison.
Okay.
Blake Snell.
Okay.
Bullpen game. Lock it in. It's final answer.
See, I'm with you. I was going Logan Webb.
Mm-hmm.
Keaton Wynn. Bullpen game.
Man, that's worse than mine.
It is
that's
worse.
worse.
But what would make us think that it's going to be better? Like, I mean, that's been this year. Like, everybody wants to think it's going to be Blake Snell, Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison, Robbie Ray, and Alex Cobb, right? That's your 5. I feel like that's what everybody wants, but that's not what you get. Someone's going to be hurt. 2 people are going to be hurt. Alex Cobb is going to pull his groin and his labrum at the same time. And so I don't think that this is something we can really count on, to be honest.
Robbie Ray or Alex Cobb is not going to be good. Just coming back is not going to be good. So what the Giants need is they need all 5 of those guys to be good and then finish the season. And then you have Hicks and Wynn and maybe even Birdsong filling out in long relief or 2-headed monsters or whatever that is. Or maybe Hicks becomes a closer after I don't know. That's what you need. And then you need the offense to be just a little bit better than it has been. Because, Matthew, we're about to go into the second part of the show. And in order to prepare for that, I did a lot of statistical analysis before the game. I have 5 hours, Matthew. I took my Adderall. I got super locked in, and then I just tunneled. And I figured it out, Matthew. I figured out why the Giants are bad and what they need to do.
Oh? Are you going to bury the lead, or are you going to tell me right now?
No, I'm going to tell you right now. Here it is. Here's
Okay.
This is why they're bad, and it's what they need to improve on. They're bad because they score less runs than they give up. And I'm not lying to you, Matthew. I did 5 hours, 6 hours today of just crunching the numbers and looking at all the stats and going. I was like,
folks, there are spreadsheets. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised there weren't graphs.
Well, I didn't have time to turn them into graphs. And I broke down the percentages of each pitcher and how many percentages of the innings they pitched and what percentage of runs they gave up. And it all comes out, Matthew. They need to score more runs and they need to give up less. And
Okay.
I cracked the code.
I do want to go back to something you said right at the end, though. You said Jordan Hicks closing games after and then you trailed off. And I think what you meant to say is after they trade Camilo Duvall.
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
No, that's not someone who you would trade, because that's the question that I have for you, Ben.
Actually, I answered these questions and I'm ready to go. I have
know
my
you
answers.
did. I know you did. So I know that you've got some answers here. So who would you trade as we approach the trade deadline?
Well, Matthew, look, the Giants are going to get all the pitching back that they need, right? Like, I don't think there's any point for trading for anybody else. All the bad things that we said could happen are probably going to happen to those guys too. So the Giants don't need pitching. They need offense if they're going to be buying. If they're going to be selling, the question is, who could they sell? Okay, so
that's a good question. So that's a good point. We don't know that yet. And so any conjecture at this point depends on whether they're buyers or sellers. Right. That's a good point.
So I broke this down into 3 groups.
Okay.
If I'm buying, who would I trade? If I'm selling, who would I trade? And inconsequential. Doesn't matter if I'm buying or selling. I could trade these guys to try to make something better anyway. And some of these could be moved from one group to another. So the inconsequential group first. You won't get much, but you're not losing much. First one, Luke Jackson. And I don't know that you could even trade him. Okay. Right. Top of my list.
Okay.
Do you want me to keep going, or?
Yeah, keep going, because I want to hear who is on the inconsequential list.
Wilmer Flores.
Oh.
Okay, I didn't say emotionally inconsequential. I didn't say like.
Okay, I get it. You got to be cold and ruthless at the trade deadline. I get it.
Yeah, like he's not, and he's not. Like he's not going to be part of our future, and he's not part of our present. So there you go.
I got it.
In a similar vein, but I think a little bit more attractive to other people, and think therefore maybe a guy you would want to keep a little bit more is one Michael Yastrzemski.
Oh.
Yeah.
He of the 114 OPS plus?
Yes, that's the one. Because I think you could.
Yeah, he might have value.
He has value, I think, in a lot of different ways, and you might be able to get something for him. But also, you have like pieces already in place to fill the void, even for this rest of the season. Right. So yes, you're giving up a little bit, but not a lot. And then 4th on my list, and the guy that I would least like to trade out of this group. But I think you got to put him on the list because, you know what, he's got young guys giving him pressure, and that's Thairo Estrada. He's having a bad season, but he was good not that long ago, and so maybe you could get somebody to take a flyer on him. And I think with Fitzgerald and Wisely and Marco Luciano, you have plenty of options down in the minor leagues to fill that void. And why not just go with Fitzgerald and Wisely for now? At second and short, if you're not going to
that screams we're selling. That's a selling kind of trade, I think.
All right, I'm with you. So let's keep going with the selling then.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Number 1 on the top of my list. If you're selling,
so selling means that the season's over.
You're packing it in. You're not going to make the playoffs.
Farhan, that the team is not going to be in a playoff hunt. So now we just gotta salvage it and see what we can do for 2025.
Correct. Number 1 on my list. Easiest for me to trade. Michael Conforto.
Shocker.
Yeah, I'm shocked. But he's having a decent season, and I think with the kind of the market the way it is, I think he's a guy that could get you a bigger return than you might be expecting. So Michael Conforto, number 1 on my list. Number 2 on my list, Jorge Soler. But you'd have to give lots of money with him.
Yeah, because he's got, 3 years?
He's got 3 years. Well, yeah, 3 years. 2 years after this one.
Yeah.
Of a significant, and he's 32 years old. So Michael, so Jorge Soler. Next on my list, Blake Snell. But you got to get him to pick up his option first, and then the Giants would have to pay some money to whoever's taking him. But then you could turn him into a legitimate return, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to do that.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. It's a crazy option. But if he doesn't do that, nobody wants him. Taylor Rogers.
Yeah, agreed. I like this one. Yeah.
Yeah, totally tradable, and lots of different people would take him.
Because every team needs high leverage pitching, right? I mean.
Yep. Next on my list, Lamont Wade Jr. Because fuck it. I mean, we're selling, right? We're selling, so fuck it. Let's just get rid of our best player. Just fuck it.
Okay.
You know what? Like, sell everything.
Just burn it all. Burn it down, and let's start over.
We'll trade Lucille at this point. Fuck it.
Oh, what could you get for Lucille?
A really nice Coke machine.
Ooh, the kind that has all the syrups and the different flavors?
Yeah. But then it bottles everything and puts it into a bottle at the end for you. And there's like a glass side on it, so you can see all the machinations and everything working as it does that. I think that we could get that for Lucille. Luke Jackson gets us a used Pepsi machine. Lucille gets us a brand new Coke machine.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay, and since we're in the selling mode and we're getting serious here, yes, Matthew. Camilo Doval. He is our most valuable asset. I lived through the Matt Williams trade. I can live through this, especially if we get a Jeff Kent.
They're not getting a Jeff Kent.
We're not getting a Jeff Kent. No, those trades just don't happen anymore.
We're getting like a Dan Unger.
But, Camilo, because he's replaceable, I think, right? I think the Giants have a lot of guys that could be candidates for the closer role.
Closers are great when things are going good.
Yeah.
But they're a dime a dozen when they're not. And so, and Camilo probably not going to be the closer anyway after the All-Star game.
Yeah,
so,
we don't think so. So, yeah.
So, yeah, he could be someone that they leverage for sure.
Okay, now, if we're buying.
Okay, that means we've run off a few games. We sweep in Colorado.
Yes.
We're back to 500.
That's right.
Maybe we win. We split in LA.
That's right.
All right,
okay.
So we're 500 through. Now we're maybe 2 games out of a wild card spot.
That's right. You can trade Black, Wizenhunt, and Birdsong, but only one of them. In that order. So I would prefer we trade Black and then Wizenhunt and then Birdsong. Black because I've seen it. It needs to go back in the oven for a while. Wizenhunt, I don't know what that is. I've never had it before. I don't know what it tastes like. Ignorance is bliss.
You don't miss it.
Yeah, so I won't miss it when it's gone.
You only miss it 10 years from now when he's like, winning his 200th game.
That's right. And then Birdsong because opposite, right, of the Black situation. Ooh, it came out perfectly. It's not the best thing I've ever had, but it's pretty darn good. Yeah. And compared to what I've seen so far this year, it's really good. Okay. Marco Luciano. And the other side of that coin, Brett Wisely.
Agreed. I think one of these could end up being gone. I think that's I think that shows that's their depth at this point. And Marco Luciano, not too far from being one of the top prospects in the game. And I feel like Luciano could be moved for the right player, especially if we're buying. If that's I could see that happening for sure.
I would also throw Luis Matos in there. Like I don't know how that all works out, but it just depends on what you would get. Because remember, Wade Meckler he's coming back. He's getting healthy. And then we have a bunch of other outfield options that are sort of knocking on the door. They're not necessarily great, but there's guys that I think need to be pushed up into that. Maybe you can be a role player guy like Hunter Bishop or Vaughn Brown, who's actually kind of having a lost year. I don't know where he's fallen all the way to rookie league. But you get my point. Grant McCrae, right? So you have all these guys that I think could fill in that role. And Luis Matos he's only 22, so I think you could get a lot for him because of that. But he hasn't exactly said, I'm here and I've arrived. Right. So I would, but he's at the bottom of that list, right? He's the last one of all those that I would want to trade. Okay. We're going long, but I think we should just stick with it.
Yeah, I'll edit quickly. So those are who you would trade. Who can you trade?
Yeah,
I think that's a different question, right? Because I think you got to have buyers. You got to have people that want them.
Right. Well, Grant Brisbee wrote an article about this, and he basically broke it down to how you can only trade the Rogers brothers and Camilo. Everybody else is impossible to trade. Yeah,
because of their contract situation, or they're not playing well, or all those things.
And I disagree with that a little bit. But I think the guys that you can trade, I think you can trade Conforto. I think you can trade Yaz. I think you can trade the Twins, and I think you can trade Camilo and Wade Jr.
Well, you could trade anybody for anybody. Look at the Austin Slater trade. They got literally nothing from that trade, right? I mean, they lost money on that trade. They traded Austin Slater in cash for a guy that they ended up losing after they tried to get him off their 40 man.
Yeah. Well, I think they traded Austin Slater to the Reds.
Because that's where he wanted to go, maybe?
No, for the sake of saying that they traded him instead of kicking him to the curb.
You think it was a PR move?
I think it was a PR move.
Well, folks, this was just so if you're not aware, the Giants traded Austin Slater for a guy named Alex Young. Then they tried to get him through waivers to get him off their 40-man, and he got claimed by the Mets. So the Giants actually got nothing for Austin Slater. Which seems like that's not a great ideal thing, but maybe that was their plan all along. Who knows?
They got a 40-man spot, Matthew, so that they could bring Robbie Ray off the 60 day.
Got it. Okay, now just give me one player who you would want the Giants to trade for if we're buying. And I know you've created this whole list of slugger. Your hypothesis is we need a right-handed slugger because Jorge Soler has not been the guy.
Right. Well, also because of all that that analysis I did, Matthew, is that the Giants, they need a guy who can hit dingers, and it's not Jorge Soler, so it's got to be somebody else.
Okay, so you created this really fancy graph or chart.
Brent Rooker.
You want Brent Rooker from the Oakland Athletics?
If you're giving me any name on my list and all of the others.
Well, of course he's batting .291 and he's got 21 home runs. So yeah, he's going to cost a little bit, I would imagine. Yeah,
he's going to cost you like a Wizenhunt and a Luciano or whatever. Yeah.
And not young. He's 29 years old. You're getting somebody.
No, he's a late bloomer.
But okay, I agree. I'm going with Mike Trout. Give me Mike Trout.
Mike Trout, I'm on board. Let's do it. I mean, the guy's hit a monster. He hits monster home runs, and he's a right-handed bat. Let's do it.
I don't even know if he's playing right now. He's still injured, right?
No, but he's supposed to come back by the end of the month.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mike Trout. That's what.
Also, I would also take Luis Robert Jr.
Okay, all right.
It's time for a lightning round.
All right,
yeah,
let's do it. Let's do it. All right, Ben. So I think we just answered this one. Player you most want to trade for? You're saying Rooker, huh?
I'm saying Rooker, but if we're getting rid of Camilo, I want Jazz.
Oh, okay. Jazz Chisholm, he probably could be had for Camilo, I'm sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm still sticking with Mike Trout. I think it would be great to have Mike Trout as a Giant. Player you least want to see traded, Ben?
Oh, but it has to be on the 26 man. That's what we agreed. Player that you least want to see traded, Camilo.
Yeah. It's a toss-up between Wilmer and Yaz for me. I'm sentimental. I love them both. I can't pick one. I think if I had to say like who I just love and don't want to see traded, it's Wilmer. But he's also not having a great year. So I could see why he would be traded. All right. Finally, Ben, your least favorite Giants trade of all time.
My least favorite Giants trade of all time, Matthew, is the infamous A.J. Pierzynski trade in which the Giants gave up the big chip in the trade was Boof Bonser.
The number one prospect for the Giants, Boof Bonser.
That's right. Former number one prospect, Boof. That's right, kids. If you don't know that name, you need to know that name. Boof. Boof Bonser was traded for A.J. Pierzynski. Unfortunately, the Giants also traded Francisco Liriano, but then thrown in as an afterthought. But not to the Twins, as we later learned. They wanted this guy all along. Was the Twins, one of the Twins' great closers of all time, one Joe Nathan. And I was a big Joe Nathan fan, and I hated A.J. Pierzynski, and I still don't like the guy. And he played for 1 year, got in a big fight with Brett Tomko in the clubhouse because he was playing cards. It was the Pusoy of his day. A.J. Pierzynski for Joe Nathan, worst trade of all time. And that includes Matt Williams.
Because with Matt Williams, they at least got a potential Hall of Famer back and a World Series cornerstone.
They got Jeff Kent and he was an MVP and they went to the World Series. So blah blah blah. Yeah.
Well, let me quickly just to kind of drive that home. How many saves did AJ Pierzynski has of a Giant? One.
How many? Joe Nathan, you mean?
He had one save as a Giant. Immediately after the trade to the Twins, he had 44, 43, 36, 37, 39, and 47 in a row. Those are how many saves he had in each season. So,
and the Twins traded for him knowing they wanted to make him their closer. They knew it. They went out and they got him, and the Giants gave him away as an afterthought. One of the worst trades ever made by Brian Sabian. What an idiot. What did he ever do? Oh, wait. Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Never mind.
I forgot about it. Yeah, never mind.
Anyway, my worst trade is just Willie Mays. And I know that they were doing it because they couldn't afford to keep him and all that. But how do you trade Willie Mays? And so I just I feel like the Giants should have found a way to keep him. The Willie Mays trade, him ending his career as a Met was a travesty. So that's my least favorite Giants trade of all time.
But he now has his number retired by two teams.
Does he really? The Mets retired his number 2?
Yeah, the Mets promised him they would. I don't know when that happened, but they did, and they did.
I did not know that. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay, all right. Well, coming up, folks, Colorado Rockies, who are 34-63. You thought the Giants had problems? The Rockies are 34-63. Just be thankful that you are not a Rockies fan. They have the second worst record in the NL. There's only one acceptable outcome, Ben, for this series,
Sweep.
and that is a sweep.
That's right.
Yes. Notable players to play for both the Giants and the Rockies. This is a pitcher's edition. Javi Lopez, Jeremy Affeldt, and Jonathan Sanchez. Sanchez, as you may or may not know, threw a no-hitter on July 10th, 2009, which at the time was the franchise's first no-hitter in 33 years.
So good.
It was also one Juan Uribe error away from being a perfect game.
That's right.
And this was the pre-Buster era, so the catcher for that game was Eli Whiteside.
Wow. That's cool. Eli had a no-hitter. Good.
It is. That's cool. Anyway, so that's who we got.
The Rockies have this guy named Michael Toglia. He spells it Toglia, but he pronounces it Toglia. And apparently, he can hit home runs, but he's like a Dave Kingman. His batting average, 197. But he has 16 home runs, including 3 in his last game and 5 in his last 4 games.
Okay. Well, good for the Rockies. They got a guy that can hit home runs.
Well, and watch out for the Giants, right? I don't know. Whoever the new closer is, watch. That's going to be his first game. Toglia. Toglia.
All right, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, watch how Toglia does against the Giants pitching staff. Well, that'll tell you a whole lot.
It will tell you a whole lot, and now I'm going to tell you a whole lot. And that's a wrap on the midweek review, folks. Thank you for joining us. We will be back on Monday with the big show where the cocktails will be stronger and the rants will be the same length, really. If you can't wait that long to get your fix, feel free to reach out to us on the social medias. I'm never there, but we can pretend. Oh, I did respond to somebody on YouTube. So that was me. I did that.
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
And besides YouTube, you can find us in Zuckland, a.k.a. Instagram and Threads, where we go by the username Giant Cocktails. You can also find us on the Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, and Mastodon at the same username. And don't forget, because I just told you, you can listen to us on YouTube. So run over there to like, subscribe, and comment. You can maybe be our 12th subscriber. But most importantly, be sure to leave us a positive review, like 5 stars positive, at your podcasting platform of choice, a.k.a. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Matthew, you were mathematical today. Keep up the good work. Cheers, my friend.
Ooh, that's a new one. Cheers, Ben. Bye, everybody.
Oh, good All-Star games. Probably the best All-Star game for Giants, turns out, was from 2012. When Melky Cabrera,
the Milkman,
was the MVP of the All-Star game.
Right before he got suspended.
Right before. They already knew he was guilty at that point in time, folks, as he was winning the MVP award in the All-Star game. So that's what happens when the Giants are good in the All-Star game. But I will also add this. In that same game, in that same inning even, Pablo Sandoval hit a bases-clearing triple off of Justin Verlander.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
That's right, Matthew. Foreshadowing. Goodbye!
Thank you for listening to the Giant Cocktails Podcast. Until next time, bottoms up.
It's really bugging me that you hadn't said goodbye.
I know, I can see that look on your face.
The ADHD Ben was just forgetting to say goodbye.
No. Adderall Ben had it in there. Working memory. I have one. It turns out.
Also, never been called Mathematical Matthew before, so that's a new one for me.
Well, it was all that number crunching you did with the...
I know. And I wasn't even on Adderall. I just did it on my own.
And I were having a conversation the other day. So I was like, how do you remember everything? And I'm like, I don't know. It's one of my superpowers. I'm really good at it. And then I went, it's probably because I have ADHD and my short-term memory sucks. If I don't put it into my long-term memory, I won't remember it at all.
You remember like Will Clark's batting average, but you don't remember, 2 seconds ago.
Nope. I don't know that I just got the eggs out and cracked them and put them into the pan, but never turned the pan on. And I did that 3 hours ago. Don't know that.